Good evening. At this time of year, plenty of us have been ordering gifts the easy way, online, by mail order or on the telephone. And for those making the deliveries, it's inevitably the busiest time of the year. But now a Newsnight investigation has discovered that some of the packages are being delivered by men and women who are technically self-employed, which means they're not entitled to the minimum wage and have few employment rights. Here's Susanna Streeter.
Cappuccino, please. The stress-free way to buy presents. Internet shopping has taken a third of sales from the high street. There's little surprise it's so popular. With a click of a mouse or a touch of the screen, the purchase is complete. Internet sales are increasing by up to 20% annually, and this week, expected to be the busiest before Christmas, is likely to break records again for online purchases. In total, this year, we'll spend up to £56 billion over the web. But do we give a thought about what happens once the order is dispatched? Or just how the thousands of workers who bring goods to our door are treated.
You feel that you've got to keep going no matter what the conditions, whether you're ill, whatever. You feel that you've got to go out and deliver your parcels.
I had to be available 6 days a week.
Today I've only earned £23. It's quiet, you can earn less than that.
Hidden in the suburbs is an army of workers with no employment rights, no protection or benefits. On call almost every day. They work for Hermes, a company which claims to be Europe's leading home delivery specialist. In the UK, their long client list includes some of the biggest names on the high street, like Next, Debenhams, H&M and Topshop. John Cook, like other couriers who work for Hermes, are taken on only if they sign contracts which define them as self-employed. This is crucial to their pay and conditions. It means they are not entitled to the minimum wage, have no right to paid holiday or sick pay. Couriers told us they simply have no control over their working conditions. John also says it's been hard to turn away a delivery, even when weather conditions last winter made working impossible.
It was very, very dangerous. The chance of falling and breaking a leg or an arm, and of course if that happened, that's not their problem, that's your problem, you're self-employed. We asked for the parcels to be stopped on one particular occasion, which they did, but then we had double the next day when the conditions were just as bad.
John's own video footage shows they had to store hundreds of parcels in their home because they couldn't deliver them. It took 10 days to clear the backlog. In the northwest, another Hermes courier is at work. He wants to remain anonymous. He has to be available for both morning and afternoon deliveries and answers calls from customers into the evening. On the day we followed him, he averaged 50p a parcel and took home £23 for a full day's work. Why do you stay working for the company then?
Just basically because there's not much work at the moment. If I could find a job tomorrow, I'd just leave them, certainly would.
But you don't want to go on the dole?
But I don't want to go on the dole, no.
I mean, I did actually...
In Exeter, Louisa Phipps worked for Hermes for 6 years, delivering 6 days a week. In June, for 3 weeks' work, she earned £401. Out of that, she had to spend £100 on fuel. It was the way she was treated when she needed an operation that made her quit.
I needed 3 days off of work, and I asked my field manager if I could, if he could find somebody to cover for me. He gave me a telephone number of somebody, but I got no joy from that. So I went into the office and I said to him, I can't find anybody to cover. And he said, well, basically, I can find somebody to do it temporary for you, but if I can't find anybody to do it temporary, then I would have to give it to somebody else permanently. So I said to him, so does that mean then that I could lose my job? And he said, well, yes, that's pretty much it, really.
None of the couriers we spoke to felt like their own boss. So we asked an employment lawyer to assess if they could take their case to an industrial tribunal. The written contract is the first document the tribunal would look at, but it would also assess if actual working conditions reflect those in the contract. If they do not, then the tribunal would look at how the company and the courier work in reality. 3 tests are then considered that are the minimum requirements needed to prove employee status. First of all, do they provide personal service? Has the individual been taken on to provide the work personally? The second test is their mutuality of obligation. So, is the company obliged to provide the work, and are the couriers obliged to accept it? Finally, the control test is the element of control weighed towards the employer. Harriet Botel told us that in her expert opinion, the courier cases we feature would have a good chance of passing all 3 initial tests.
The tribunal would go on to look at other factors which may have a bearing on the case, but if they can fulfil those 3 factors, they at least have the minimum that's necessary to argue that they could be an employee, or if not an employee, a worker.
Another courier did take a case to a tribunal in 2007, and after an appeal, Pamela James won her case against the delivery company Red Cats. She successfully proved she should have been treated as a worker, and so been entitled to the minimum wage and the right to paid leave. Hermes told us it refutes any allegation that it is operating its business contrary to the law. It added that the status of couriers engaged by Hermes had been tested in the past before employment tribunals, and those decisions have consistently found that couriers are not employees of Hermes. The company said its experience is that the vast majority of couriers are content with the self-employed opportunities which they and other companies offer. A Hermes delivery courier has told us she is happy with her self-employed status.
Well, I was self-employed before I started working for Hermes, and I decided that the job was good for me because it worked around my children. I dropped my children off at school and went off to my job. I delivered my parcels and I come home and I collect my children. So the cover is a problem with the job, but I'm lucky. I have my own cover. I have a lady that helps me out whenever I need it.
Even so, the TUCers say they are very concerned that people on self-employed contracts are slipping through the net.
The TUC thinks the law should be changed. We think, in our opinion, there is exploitation of people working in this situation. Not everybody. Some people understand the self-employed status that they're working under, people who are well educated and go into it all with their eyes open. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the UK who won't have that kind of sophisticated understanding of a difficult area of employment law. And for that reason, the law should be made more simple, easier to understand, and people should be better informed of what their rights are.
We asked retailers who use Hermes what they had to say about the working conditions of the couriers who deliver their goods. Next told us it has no direct control of Hermes' self-employed subcontractors. The Arcadia Group also said it was a matter for Hermes. Debenham said it took the allegations seriously. They and H&M told us they will be in direct contact with Hermes to investigate the issue further. Our courier in the northwest has had enough. Over the past week, what kind of big parcels have you been expected to deliver for 50p?
A Christmas tree, a 7-foot Christmas tree, an 8-foot rug, 3 sets of car tyres, a bench. List goes on for 50 pence. Yeah.
He's been to see a lawyer to decide if he should take the company to a tribunal. But instead of an expensive legal fight, what he and his colleagues really want this Christmas are some basic working rights and a minimum wage.
Well, I'm now joined by the economist, Dr. Irwin Stelzer of the Hudson Institute, and from Birmingham by the Labour MP Jack Dromey, who was formerly Deputy General Secretary at the Transport Workers Union. Irwin, what do you think of what you just seen?
Well, I think there are people who are getting work that they wouldn't otherwise have. For many of them, apparently, it fits in with their lifestyle so that they can make their own schedules. I think you've got a company that is expanding and delivers, 100 million parcels a year. So somebody's happy with the service and somebody's happy doing the job.
And it's a good thing for the economy.
And it certainly is, because the people they're delivering it for have lower costs and they can hire more people. So I think all in all, it seems to me a plus for the economy, which needs growth very desperately.
Jack Dromey, what do you think of it?
Their employment practices may not be illegal, but they're certainly immoral. It's a scandal that in 21st century Britain, workers get treated in that way. Now, there are many good employers in Britain, like Jaguar Land Rover in my own constituency, but there's also millions of workers exposed by your programme tonight. Sadly, millions of workers who live in a twilight world of insecurity, bad treatment, low pay. And Erwin, to be frank, it's absolutely scandalous that you should seek to defend that.
Erwin?
Well, it seems to me absolutely scandalous to try to set wage levels which wipe out jobs. I mean, these are people who are not on the dole. They want to work. And if you price them out of the market, it's going to be a lot worse for them and for the economy.
But is your point that we shouldn't have a minimum wage at all? That there's actually a barrier to some employers?
No, I don't. I had a long discussion with Tony Blair about this, and I do think you should have a minimum wage. But these are people who, under your laws, are self-employed, and they find a variety of virtues in that. So I don't understand quite why you would want to price them out of the market.
Jack, do you want me to price them out of the market? It's obviously better for people to have jobs if they want them.
These are good men and women that we've just seen interviewed. What they want is security and to be treated fairly. What they're suffering is shameful treatment. Now, that's absolutely wrong. The law needs to be strengthened to close the kind of loopholes being exploited by too many employers. The law needs to be rigorously enforced, but also the retailers need to use their power. What was very interesting about the piece you've just done, only Debenhams said that they would investigate. The other three companies were effectively washing their hands of responsibility.
But they're saying, forgive me for interrupting, they're saying, presumably, you know, we've got no direct control over this, it's completely legal, people choose to work, it's not, you know, they're not dragooned into it, they choose to work. It's not their problem, really, is it?
The people concerned have no alternative. For every one job, there's 5 people after that job. People are desperate to get into work. Reputable retailers use their market power to say to those who supply to them, we want you to treat workers fairly. Asda have done that, for example, in relation to the food industry chain, where they've been cleaning up their act, ending shameful treatment. And I believe that tonight, the shoppers of Next, for example, listening to that programme that we've just heard, they will be scandalised by what they've seen.
But I'm told that all the retailers, in fact, are going to be looking into the employment practices. But I
hope so.
But look,
what are they going to do about it?
If shoppers are scandalised by this and they don't want to patronise a company that uses these people, they won't. That's entirely fine. But if they do, and if they appreciate the lower cost service, the personalised service by somebody who feels he's self-employed, then they will. Somebody is giving 100 million packages a year to these people to deliver, and somebody is delivering them.
Erwin, look, forgive me if I say this. I mean, your experience of the shop floor may be that of Fortnum and Mason's. My experience of the shop floor is the real world of work, where there are too many workers in 21st century Britain treated this way.
Well, I started delivering flowers for 25 cents a shot.
Earlier on this year, the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, Equalities and Human Rights Commission exposed that, for example, in the meat industry here in Britain, there were workers getting bullied, intimidated, physically assaulted, pregnant women having miscarriages, utterly shameful treatment. And that kind of treatment has no place in 21st century Britain.
Well,
and I would expect you, Erwin, to speak out against it.
In the minute or so we've got left. Yes. We're going to see whether you like it or not. Mr. Joby doesn't. You think it's a good idea, but we're going to see more of this, aren't we, do you think?
I think you're going to see more of this as the economy becomes more flexible, as people become more competitive to get jobs, as businesses become more competitive, as prices come down. That's how an economy grows.
So your message,
please spare me a lecture from somebody in Parliament to somebody who started out delivering flowers for 25 years.
So your message, therefore, to workers is prepare yourself for things to get worse. So David Cameron says, fairness, we're all in it together. What workers can expect from you, Erwin, is that things will get worse.
OK, we'll leave it there. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.